There's a kind of silence that feels almost violent, a kind of stillness that shakes you more than any storm ever could. You pray, but heaven feels sealed. You cry out, but your tears only seem to fall into an empty room. You keep waiting for God to open a door, but all you see are walls. And in that quiet that feels too heavy to carry, a whisper rises from your soul. God, why won't you move? But what if, right now, in this very silence, God is doing more than you can imagine? What if the Bible has been trying to tell you that waiting isn't God withholding, it's God preparing? This message is for the ones who feel suspended between chapters, for the ones who have prayed until their voice broke, who have fasted, pleaded, believed, and still nothing seems to change. It's for the hearts that wonder if God has moved on to someone else's story and left theirs unfinished. Waiting is one of the most difficult spiritual battles, not because it's silent, but because it's personal. It exposes your fears, confronts your doubts, and tests your faith without ever giving you a timeline. But the Bible does not treat waiting as punishment. Waiting is treated as holy ground, sacred space, the place where God does some of his most transformative work. If you've ever watched someone else step into their answered prayers while you sit in the same season you've been in for years, you know how deeply waiting can wound. You cheer for them, but inside your heart aches. God, when is it my turn? You've watched others find love while you still feel alone. Watched others find purpose while you're still searching for yours. Watched others celebrate healing while your pain remains. And it's not jealousy, it's longing. It's the quiet fear that maybe you're the exception, the one prayer God somehow missed. But Scripture shows us a different picture. Nearly every great promise in the Bible was born in a season of waiting. Abraham waited decades for a son. Joseph waited in prison for a dream no one believed. David waited years after being anointed king. Even Jesus waited 30 years to begin a ministry that would only last 3. Why? Because waiting is not the place where God forgets you. It's the place where God forms you. You are not being punished. You're being prepared. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." That word wait in Hebrew, qavah, means to intertwine, to become bound together. The picture isn't of someone sitting still. It's of someone wrapping themselves around God like a lifeline. Waiting is active. It is leaning into God, depending on Him, trusting Him even when you have no visible reason to. The world tells you waiting is losing time, but God says waiting is gaining strength. The world tells you waiting is being stuck, but God says waiting is being shaped. In Psalms, David doesn't just say, "I waited." The original language says, "I waited and waited." In other words, I waited long enough to feel forgotten, long enough to question, long enough to hurt, and then God moved. God wasn't late. God was aligning the moment, the mission, the heart. You see, God doesn't just prepare the blessing, God prepares you for the blessing. And sometimes the version of you that prayed the prayer is not the version of you that can carry the answer. Here's the shift we often miss. You're not waiting for something. You're waiting with someone. God is not distant in the delay. He is closest in the waiting. He sits with you in every unanswered question, in every quiet prayer, in every night you wonder if heaven is listening. And sometimes, God waits because He loves you too much to rush what He's building in you. What if the delay is protection? What if He's blocking a path that would have broken you? What if He's preparing a blessing that requires timing you cannot see yet? Waiting is not God withholding something good from you. Waiting is God holding something good for you. And when the moment comes, when God finally opens the door, you will see why it took time. You will see why the detours were necessary. You will see why the prayers seemed unanswered. God has never wasted a season, and he won't start with yours. So if you're in the hallways of waiting, don't lose heart. You're standing where Abraham once stood, where Joseph once stood, where David once stood, where Jesus himself once stood. Waiting in the shadows doesn't mean you don't have a destiny. It means your destiny is being carved in the dark. Waiting is holy. Waiting is sacred. Waiting is where God writes the parts of your story that will someday make you fall to your knees in gratitude, because now you finally understand why he didn't say yes too early. Your waiting is not wasted. Your faith is not unnoticed. Your tears have not fallen in vain. God is moving in ways you cannot see, arranging pieces you don't know exist, preparing answers you're not ready to hold yet. But when the time is right, when your heart is ready, when the path is clear, when heaven has aligned every detail, God will not hesitate. God will not be late. God will move. Because waiting on God is not a pause in the promise. It is the process that turns you into the person who can receive it.